everybody. Welcome to Live with Lil episode 206. Joining us today are two very special guests. We have stunt double for Bobbi / Mockingbird / a bazillion other characters that you will know from many movies and TV shows, ALICIA VELA-BAILEY, who has Matt Mullins as a Zoom name, but will,
I'm on his account.
And then we have the director of the episode, Ron Underwood, here as well.
Hello.
And Zachary Abel will be answering your questions from the chat as well. And we have some Instagram questions that came through as well.
Yes,
that you also have on your phone. So you've got your work cut out.
Yeah, no, I'll have to be on my toes.
Yes. I mean, I feel like I could go through your guys' resume and it would take me about 100 years. But Ron, you have directed every episode of every TV show I feel like that has ever been shown. We got to have you a bunch on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I mean, you've just done everything.
I like variety.
Yeah, that was, okay, interesting. Because you've done a bunch of sci-fi and then like Grey's Anatomy and then like more kind of, I don't know the different genres you'd call them, like, well, you did Make It or Break It. So basically, if you've ever watched TV, you've probably seen Ron's work. And then ALICIA, you, I mean, have just stunt doubled everyone. I've been down a rabbit hole, so I'm probably going to know too much about both of you, to be honest. But you have stunt doubled for Kate Beckinsale on, is there anything you can't, well, I was going to say, is there anything you can't say, but that's not going to be, obviously, Adrian
right now, pretty much, yeah.
Wonder Woman,
yeah.
Gal Gadot, I mean, that's, you're the real Wonder Woman.
Oh.
So I can't wait to dive into this episode with both of you. And we've got so many questions and so many people were so excited to have you both on. So let's count down to press play together for everybody watching it as well.
My bulldog is snoring right now. So if you're hearing something in the background.
Oh my gosh.
Snoring. So sorry about that. It's not me.
What is his Instagram? Because I feel like everybody needs to go follow him.
Oh my gosh, it's KEKOA Mullins, MULLINS. Kekoa Mullins.
It's the world's cutest dog, and he has a better showbiz life than most people I know. Okay, right. Oh, mine is not set up. Hang on. Oh, it is. Okay, so I'm going to go from the Marvel flip. So let me know. Oh my gosh. I've got the Wheel of Death over here.
Let's go.
Okay, right. Let me know when you're teed up.
I'm ready.
I
think so.
No pressure, no pressure.
Okay.
Ready?
Get it to be right there. At the,
Oh my gosh, don't worry. I mean, if we're
okay.
slightly off, it
good.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. 3, 2, 1, play. Oh my gosh, great. I mean, once that's done, I feel like we can all just relax.
Yeah, it's done.
Okay.
It's streaming, it's done. So a lot of the questions that we have had for each of you actually are how you came to do this episode. So I don't know if Ron, if you could take it of like, how did you get to do this episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Well, I was a fan of the show in season 1, and I was very enthusiastic when I was approached about it, and I really liked the script a lot and thought it was really interesting with great action as well as really nice emotional material.
Yeah, it's such a great episode. Do they, when they approach you for something like this, do you get any kind of idea of what the episode's going to be, or you just know the show so you can then watch kind of what you're getting into, kind of?
Yes, and it varies show to show. The script wasn't ready at the time I said yes to it, but I just knew the show enough that I knew I wanted to do it.
Right. Okay. Awesome. And so, because of your other work that you've done, it was more of a they approached you kind of a thing. That's how you got to.
Yes.
That's so good. God, I dream of the day. And then, Alicia, this was only your second episode, right, with Shield?
So yeah, with doubling Adrian.
Yeah. Had you doubled her before this?
Nope. This was like first time. And I remember the first time I was asked to double her, I was nervous. I was like, I don't know, there might be someone better out there. Like, you should, like try and find the best. And they're like, nope, you'll do great. And then I was like, okay. But she had so much fun action on the show that it was a dream, like getting to double her, and the character, it was so much fun.
How much prep do you get for that with the batons? And I mean, last week you had this huge crazy fight scene in a corridor. How do you do that? And
it depends. Certain episodes we get more prep. Certain times it's like, all right, next up, here we go, and you're like, ah. But yeah, usually we get like a stunt day with the choreographer and the stunt coordinator, and they get a game plan going and we choreograph stuff. And I have a dance background, so picking up choreography is kind of my thing, so that I can learn quickly on that. Other things, not so much, but for that, like fight choreography or dance, like it comes natural to me. So I think that's why it's so great on television shows, because everything moves so fast.
Yeah.
As opposed to like on a film set, you have like months to prep. TV
right.
show, you get like a few days, and you're like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. I mean, you make it look so easy and just like magic, but when we get to see you on set, you're just kind of
bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, just amazing.
We get to rehearse a few times and get it in our systems, so we don't have to think anymore. Your body just goes, and you're like, here we go. It's almost like
yeah. And then Ron, do you get sent kind of videos of the choreography of what it might be, and how quickly do you get to plan?
Yeah,
like how far in advance do you get?
And just relate it to a film, because you directed one of my favorite films of all time, City Slickers. So just in just a relatively the prep time.
It's very similar, actually, television and film, except for the time.
Right.
Otherwise, it's the same process. And on this, I would talk to the stunt coordinator Tanner and talk about it in advance in terms of the kind of fight that we were going to do. The entrance in the fight was kind of fun, with exploding through the closed windows, swinging into the set, and so we would talk about it in advance, and then like Alicia said, there's a rehearsal day where things are worked out and videotaped, and then I'm shown the videotape, and while everybody's still there, so that we can talk about it and maybe make some changes or whatever. But basically, they come up with, such an incredible thing. It's just fun to be able to see it, and then because you're seeing it like an audience member for the first time when you see this rehearsal.
Yeah.
And I remember in this episode really being impressed with just the ease with which the whole thing took place.
Yeah. Can you take us through that day of filming when we were smashing through windows? And, because presumably as a director, you don't want to have to, I'm interested if there's more of a pressure on the director during those sorts of scenes, because you don't want Alicia to have to do it 1,700 times, although she would and she could. But it's like, you know, how's that pressure to work with, and how does that day go?
Yes, it's pressure that is often about wanting it to be safe and not too difficult for everybody, but also the time is always one of the big pressures for a director. Yeah. And so if you go through, you know, the scene starts with them flying through the windows, and if that doesn't work out, then you have to take the time to clean it up, get new windows in, and just, it's that time of reset.
Right.
Is you just hope is not going to have to happen, and you're just wishing for take one to be the one, and in this case it was.
It was?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was so great. And that just is such a relief to not have to go through that, because everybody working as fast as they can, it takes time, of course, to reset all the windows, and they're made out of very fragile material, so you can't just slap them in like regular windows.
Yeah, of course. And then Alicia, what's that feeling like? Because you also know, if I'm an inch off, that means, I don't know, and 30 minutes, 40 minutes turnaround for everybody, and then we have to do it again. And like, what's that? How do you cope with that pressure?
Well, yeah, sometimes we're told like, hey, we only got 2 glass windows, so we only get, you know, or we only have 1, so don't mess this up, you know, and so you're like, you know, but even the funny part is before you're going through the window, you're kind of getting ready, and you're like, okay, and you're like amped up, and you're like, okay, as long as I don't go too soon, because you're like, ready, and 3, 2, 1, good. And we have to time it, because the other double was next to us. We had to jump through at the same time, so we're making sure our timing's good. And the other thing is going
exactly
through
at the same time. It's so
exactly, because if one person goes forward, then it's like, the shot, it doesn't work. But it's fun. And then you have to close your eyes going through the glass, of course. And so the landing, you're like starting to open your eyes, and it can get slippery, so like you're hoping you don't like land and then trip, or you know, you'll do the hard part, and then it's the walking off that you mess up on, and you're like, no, like, so that's stuff
very
slick. Like, I don't want to be the one to mess this up. But
that candy glass is so slick.
It gets like ice afterwards, and you're like, whoa.
Oh, wow. So if you get a bit caught under your foot, you're gone.
Yeah.
I feel like if that was me, obviously I'm not a stunt woman, but I would go through and then celebrate before it's over, you know, be like, yes, and then mess it up.
Like back to 1.
I know.
An hour reset.
Oh, that's funny.
Ron, in this episode, there's so much that when I was rewatching it, there's just so much in it. You have so many stunts. We kind of get to see a bit more of what Bobbi can do in terms of her fighting skills. And then we have, I think, the first time that Simmons comes back after being away, and we see them with Fitz for the first time. The scene that's on, at least on mine right now, in the lab, I remember so clearly, because I was like, we'd never had this dynamic between the characters before, and I was kind of, I struggled a bit because I wasn't quite sure. I didn't want her to be unlikable, but then I also knew it's like a breakup, you know, you're not really meant to talk to the person you broke on, you know, and you gave me.
We wouldn't know.
We wouldn't know, yeah. Never been with anyone else. You just gave me such wonderful direction. It was so kind of soulful and heartfelt, and you really took the time, which I always admire directors that can do that, because they're 2 completely different, or seemingly at least different scenes of filming someone flying through a window, and it has to be so precise and look a certain way, and then also directing someone in an emotional scene that, even though we've been doing these characters for probably a year up to this point, we've never done this kind of scene. And like, can you talk us through how you kind of approach that scene, even though it's not, and even this stuff between Sky and Ward, it's all very emotional and intense, and kind of has so much history that you weren't there for. How do you approach that?
Well, for one thing, I watch all the episodes I can, to review what the characters have gone through. In this situation, it's the 6th episode of the season, so I read the scripts up to episode 6 for the season because the episodes weren't ready to watch. So I know what the characters have gone through, and then it's really just making it comfortable for the actors to express themselves freely and feel open to be honest, because that's what it's all about. And with your performance in the show, it was very emotional and it was very moving to me. And I know I watched the show as an audience member as I'm shooting it. And if I'm moved emotionally, I know the audience is going to be moved emotionally. And so that's how, I just go from my own, what's going on in my heart and soul.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's even in a show that with a lot of action, those emotional moments are really what brings the audience back in every time, because it's really the journey of characters that you're wanting to follow, and that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah, I mean, that makes so much sense, hearing you say that you feel like once you get an emotional reaction, whether that's, yes, that looks so cool with her diving through the window and she looks strong, and as a fan of the show, I'm going to love that moment. That's such a cool, I've never heard that as an approach from a director before. And working with you, like, I don't know how, I'm sure, Alicia, you feel similar in that you're so positive, Ron, on set, that you can't help but be, and in fact, too, having been directed by Ron, you can't help, like, it's an infectious energy that you just go, oh my God,
he's making it sound very easy. But I mean, it's a very distinct talent, I think, to be able to do that and make actors feel, because there's so much going on around you to make your actors feel very comfortable. You're making it sound very easy, Ron, what you do, but
it is good to keep it in as simple as it can be.
Right.
Because you can overcomplicate it or make it a little too technical for the actors, which is just a stumbling block for being able to be just totally open and honest.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of set I like to try to create for people. And if there are times when, like the going through the windows, where it has to be exact precision in terms of millimeters and timing. But whenever possible, I try not to make it be that precise for the actors, because I want them to feel freedom.
Yeah, and I think we did, and we do. I suppose that helped. Like, Alicia, what makes a good director for you? And I mean, I know that you act as well. In terms of stunts, how is that relationship between stunt person and director?
I love it when you're on a set, any set, and there's not too, I know everything's always hectic a lot, but when the director is calm and like knows exactly what they want, and it's good at explaining what they want too, it makes our job easier, as opposed to trying to guess, like, okay, they kind of want this, but they want that, and I'm trying to figure it, and you're trying to make it all work in your head. But also, just for any department, the feeling you get walking onto the stage, and if people are just like and stressed out, it makes it, even though you're not part of what's going on at that moment, you start to feel flustered. And I think it can affect everyone, like, like a ripple. And having like an amazing director, being calm, being, like just happy, and like knowing what they want and have a vision. And it's so great, like, to be on that type of set with a good vibe. And which, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was like that a lot. So I was very lucky. to
yeah, well, you are such a huge part of that as well. And when you are, you know, doubling someone consistently like you were for Adrian, that's such a special bond between an actor and the stunt double. And there's so much trust that goes into it of, yes, you can do, because often it's the stunt double that will say, you know, yes, this is fine for you to do, and let's hook you up and let's give it a go. Or you go, no, I like, this is my area and I feel like you shouldn't do that just in case. And, you know, that's such a special relationship. And you bring such a lovely, calm essence too. And, you know, just a joy for the work that you're both leaders, you know, in that kind of way.
I'm getting a bunch of questions for Alicia in terms of...
Hang on. We just have to talk about this fight. Are you on the fight in the...
Yes. Yep.
The Japanese...
How was that to shoot? Is this at night or is it pretend night?
It's at night out at Huntington Gardens in San Marino, California. And it was really a beautiful set.
Oh, yeah.
And a real location.
This is just such a funny one with Hunter and Bobbi, and that when they both turn and shoot the guy without even looking, it's just one of the best moments. You have so much comedy in this episode, and it's so relationship based. And then you have these crazy cool fights. So we had a lot of questions. I don't know if that's what you were going to ask, but Alicia, how long? Can you take us through the timeline of that fight there?
This one, actually, I remember teaching Adrian there on set, like, because we normally some days we can get the actors in and train them beforehand. I feel there was so much going on in this episode that we didn't get to work with her until that evening in between takes. And so I remember teaching her, like, part of, you know, and I've never used a napkin as a weapon before, you know, so it was just, even for me, I'm like, luckily I learned the choreography already, so I'm able to act like I know what I'm doing, but I was just like, here we go, okay. But she picks it up so fast. Like, Adrian, like, kicks ass, like, she's amazing. And she makes my job easy, because I'm like, yep, I mean, like, you can do this with her, because that was her. I think maybe I got to do it maybe once or twice, but I feel like most of this was Adrian herself. So
oh wow,
she did a lot. Like, she's very talented. And
yeah, she's incredible.
But this one was like a fun, like, all right, Adrian, here we go. You got to go boom, boom, ba, you know, and wait for this and do, you know, and she's like, okay.
And it's 2 a.m.
What's nice, often in a fight like this where the actors are able to do it, is the first time through, it's a wider shot. We just do it with the stunt doubles, and then everybody can see what it should be, kind of the idealized scene. And then the actors, having seen that, and the crew all knowing, being ready for whatever is going to happen, it makes it much easier then. So even if the actors are going to do it, it's great to go with the stunt doubles first. And really we get the rhythm of it.
Yeah, the timing. Because we'll do like a master of it, and then we'll go in for like the close-ups or like the intricate moments with the actors and get them doing it. And but yeah, I feel like master is always the hardest, because it's a longer version of it's the whole thing, and you mess up one little part and you have to stop, and you're like, or you keep going, you're supposed to keep going. We're stunt people, even though we messed up, but inside I'm like, damn it, I messed up, I want to do this again, I gotta keep going. And you know, but it's like, I can do this better. I'm like, but sometimes it looks okay. Like, sometimes they can't tell that we messed up.
There's no faking it in the master, because
exactly. From far away, you see everything. So.
Yeah.
Luckily, you don't see my face going like this. Oh, man.
Well, that was the thing. Yeah, exactly. You've always got to try hide your face.
I've had a question for Ron come up several times from Anne Marie, in terms of, like, when you're putting when you're filming, do you have a preference if the stunts are towards the beginning of an episode or at the end, or is that like you leave it to the ADs, they figure that out, or is there do you like it better one way or the other?
It usually is so much about schedules of locations and actors' availability that rarely do I have the choice of whether it's earlier or later. It often happens that stunts are done later in the scene that you're shooting. But yeah, unless there's some reason that I really feel it should be changed from what the assistant director comes up with initially, I just go with that.
Go with it, yeah.
And then when you're filming the fight, say that one with at the restaurant with the napkin and everything, when you say master, can you take us through like the stages that you would do it? So you said about you'd have Alicia do it first and film that until it's clean, and then you move closer and step Adrian in?
Move closer, and it depends on the fight situation. Often you shoot the coverage, or say closer on Bobbi and maybe across the stunt double to Bobbi,
right?
Or you have both actors in, depending on the fight and the situation. But often the stunt double is with the other actor as well.
Right. Okay. So you mix and match, and then when you need faces, you get the faces of the actor,
and that's for making it the best it can be, but also making it safe, the safest it can be.
Right. Yeah. Such a jigsaw. So it's just the beautiful machine of filming. I just love being on set to see that, because it's, you know, every director does it slightly different, but then you kind of just figure out your way of making it all happen. And
that's what I love about directing is everybody's style can work.
Yeah.
I mean, different personalities, different ways of approaching directing can work and be just as effective. So it's just taking what you are as a person and trying to filter the material through you. And everybody would do it somewhat differently.
That's such wonderful. I've never heard it put like that before, but it's so, because I think there's something about, you know, you have this idea of what a stunt woman is and what a director should be and how they should act. But actually, if you just go, this is my version of whatever that is, then it stops you maybe performing and more just kind of doing. Does that, I mean, Ron, you've just done iconic movies, every episode of TV going. Is that something you learned? Is that like that kind of approach?
Well, I actually, when Alicia was talking about stressful sets, I thought back to when I was starting out, before I got into the Hollywood entertainment shows. I did educational films. So those were short films.
Yeah.
I did over 100 of them before I got into children's television first, and then features after that. But one of my educational films was called The Stress Mess. And it was ironically the most stressed out I'd ever been.
Oh no.
And I had two actors, two incredible older comedians, Art Matrano and Carl Ballantine, playing the two leads. And I didn't realize when I cast them that they hated each other.
No.
They literally hated each other, like blamed each other for all their problems in their career. And I had no idea until we got on set. So I was totally stressed out. And I saw that the stress was taking away from the quality of what I could do. And my stress. And it really taught me a lesson about how important it was for me to be kind of even keel and just go with whatever is dealt, whether it's a rainy day when you're expecting sunshine or two actors who really can't stand one another. It is important to be an even keel.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Would you agree with that as your approach to Alicia, of because regardless of what's happening on set, your job could be life or death, you know, or at least a few broken limbs. Like, how have you found strategies to kind of shield yourself from a set that you have no control over, you know, what the vibe is?
Oh, definitely. I grew up in Hawaii, so I have a very laid back attitude, and
oh my gosh, this makes so much sense.
So I kind of like try to, you know, separate myself from the chaos that's going on and only worry about what I need to worry about and try not to let it fluster me. But it's hard sometimes, especially with television shows, when you're trying to get everything done so quickly and, you know, you feel rushed, and at the same time you're like, wait, like I'm about to jump through a window. I need to like focus. I mean, you know, like, and I just, you know, like before you go to, everything kind of slows down, and you just, I'm really good at blocking things out that I don't need to really pay attention to that might distract me. I didn't realize that was like a talent, but I'm like, you need to be able to do that sometimes. And I've learned how to do that well. So I think that helps me a lot. And yeah, because anything, you know, the simplest stunt that you're thinking like, oh, this isn't going to hurt, I'm going to be fine. Like that's usually the ones you get hurt on because you're not, or you're kind of more relaxed. So I like to feel a little nervous, a little, you know, really focused on what I'm about to do. And even though I know this might not hurt, I just tell myself, this is going to be very painful, but you can do it. You got this. And then when you hit and you land and you're like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. So it's my way of like, I overplay it in my head to like the worst that could happen. And then when whatever happens, I'm like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Like,
we got a lot of questions about like, what's the craziest stunt you've ever done?
Ooh, for me, it was doing I think it was like a 68-foot free fall on the film Divergent. I thought we were going to use a wire. Yeah, I double checked for that one.
Oh my gosh.
And they really wanted to do this jump for real. And I'm like, but we could use a wire. But in the film, it was the whole thing of the, you know, being fearless and jumping. And I was like, whew, I was not a high fall person. So I had to work my way up to that. And I had to learn on the job, and they took, luckily I had plenty of time to prep. So I learned how to do it. And that was the most scariest thing for me, but at the same time, the most rewarding after I did it. Cause I'm like, I did it. Yay. Yeah, but being on the side of a building with a dress on and the wind, and you don't want to fall off before you're supposed to. And it was interesting, but it was fun.
What did you land on?
It was a big airbag. So, now, when you're standing up really high and you look down, that airbag looks like a cell phone. It looks really tiny, and you have to land in the middle of it, because if you land on an edge, you can roll off and still hit the concrete. But so that was the way we built it up. I started off at 30 feet and worked my way up to like 68. And this was in the middle of winter too in Chicago. And I'm up on this thing, and I'm freezing cold, and I'm like, I think that's what helped me to jump each time, because I just wanted to get down and go inside. So I was like, the fastest way to get down is to jump. And so I'm like, oh. But, yeah.
Oh my gosh, did you have to worry about the wind and things?
I didn't until the day I was up there, and I was like, whoa. Because the thing I was standing on too, it wasn't flat. It was kind of angled. So my feet were angled down, and just balancing with the wind and the dress, I felt like it was going to blow me off. And I was like, even jumping, if you push out too much, your trajectory can like float down, go out. And so it's like a weird, you don't want the wind to overshoot you, because there's some strong gusts. And I know I'm thin, but I'm not that, I know I'm not going to get flown all the way across the, but in my head, I'm thinking the worst to like be prepared. But yeah, it was very nerve-wracking for me. But at the same time, like after I was like, yes, I did it.
Yeah, I can't, like, what a feeling. And it's so, because often, you're doing a fight with another fellow stunt person, and whereas this is just you, you're in full control. There's no one holding the wire. There's no one, like, it's all you.
And the scary part is because I had to jump off, and you go onto your back. So it's almost a blind landing. So I don't see the mat until I hit it. So I'm like jumping off, I'm seeing a building in front of me go shoom, shoom, shoom. And then I'm looking up at the sky and going, I think I'm about to hit. And you have to be ready to like land properly. And so, or you'll get the wind knocked out of you too. So it's a fun, like trying to guess, like, I think it's gonna hit. No, I was a little late on that one, but I'm okay. But it's kind of a funny game in my head that I was playing too. So.
Oh my God, I see you. It's just amazing. There's people that we got to work with on Shield. It's just crazy that we just have people like both of you to come and like. It's just so. I'm still not over it that we get to. Or I got to work with them. Although Ron, do you have any stories of when you directed Zach? Was he difficult? Was he naughty?
I probably was very difficult.
No, he's very good. He was very. We had some emotional scenes as well as some very great stunt work on that show
Stunts
too.
were fun, yeah. The stunts were very fun on Make It or Break It.
Yeah.
I was always amazed that I got credit for just rising out of frame and sticking the landing. The amount of times I get asked if that's me, I'm like, no, are you joking? Of course
not. An Olympian.
That's an Olympian. I could barely get my arm up.
You should explain Make It or Break It was, for those who haven't seen it.
It was a gymnastics show that I was on 10 years ago. Yeah, that I had
Ron
the pleasure of
directed.
working with Ron on. So, yeah.
You've got such a good memory, Ron. How the heck do you, like...
I don't know.
Do you know how many episodes of TV you've done?
I really don't. But I do. Every one of them is
the window thing
burned into my brain. It's just you put everything you can into every episode, and I'm just as excited about doing every one. Whatever I did last was the most exciting. I'm so I want to make everyone the best it can be, and so, like Alicia said, you want to be calm, but you also, I'm still just as nervous the night before the first episode, first day of shooting a new episode.
Yeah.
You want it to go well, and you want everything to work well, and plan it out the best you can, and then hope for the best.
Yes.
Yeah, you can tell that energy. It's lovely to see, because I think, a lot of people that watch these or listen to the podcast, I think there can be, I know I take great encouragement from knowing that even somebody that's done as much as you have, Ron, still the night before will get nervous because you want it to be the best ever, and you want to create that safe space for everybody on set. And it's so useful to know things like that, because I think sometimes we can just assume that the person that's leading or the person that's jumping through the glass window, like they just woke up and were able to do that. And no, it's like hours and hours of practice.
Yeah.
And then those feelings of nervousness or having to go through scenarios in your head or play games as everybody has their way, and we don't always all feel like we're invincible all the time, It's
Definitely not.
We just saw the jumping through the window, the smashing, and then that epic fight scene. Was Matt in that fight scene too?
No, he choreographed it.
He was the fight
okay.
leader.
So we should maybe say that you are married to Matt, who worked on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for almost the whole time.
I know, yeah.
Stunted really everyone in it, but Ward quite a lot, I feel like, at the start, right?
Yeah.
So he choreographed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just before you were jumping through that window with only 2 panes of glass, you're like, why did you decide to do this?
Yeah.
How long did that fight scene take to rehearse and then to shoot?
Ooh, I'm trying to remember. I feel like because there was 2 fights. We had the one with Ming and that one, but I feel like the window one was possibly only half the day, because then we had to do
less than half the day.
Yeah.
Because we had quite a bit going on that day.
Yeah.
So calm. That was quite a lot to do.
And the fight with Ming was a big choreographed fight as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were fights prior to that before the agents showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was a full day, I remember.
So then a full day of just a bunch of different fights. But then Alicia, when you're rehearsing them, do you go off-site to rehearse? Do you guys have a gym that you kind of choreograph in? How long does that part take?
Yeah, sometimes Matt will go to like this gymnastics gym and we'll get a group of guys or however many people are in the fight together, and we will, he'll use our bodies to try and figure out, all the different pieces of action. And then we film it, we send it to the stunt coordinator, who then approves it or tweaks it and shows it to the director, and we get their notes, and then we have to go back and like make changes sometimes. Well, a lot of the times I feel like they choreograph a lot more than they have time to shoot. But I think it's always better to give them more than to give them not enough, because they can always cut it out, or like, oh, we don't have time for all of this, but let's do the key important parts, and so I think, yeah, this one was fun. A lot of the times we're actually on another stage on the lot, and we'll just be rehearsing there, and then whenever Adrian or any of the actors that are involved have a moment, we take turns and swap them in for the different stunt people, so we can teach everyone the action, so everyone's prepared for the day, so they don't feel stressed. And
usually you can't rehearse in the actual space of the fight, because in this case it was a set that was being built and painted, and so it wasn't possible to be rehearsing there because we needed all of the construction workers and painters and everybody there. And so you have to just sort of set up a pseudo space that will seem like it.
So great. I mean, just the hoops to jump through. We just saw the bit where Ward is marched down the corridor, and then Simmons says, "If I see you again, I'll kill you." I have to apologize to you, Ron, because you put me with Chloe and Clark, and then I had to say, "If I see you again, I'll kill you." I just couldn't do it without busting out laughing. I feel like we might have got in trouble that scene, because that was just a terrible pairing to start with, putting me with Chloe and Clark. What was I meant to do? It was just before, as he was walking down, they were like, "If I see you again, I'll kill you. If I see you again, I'll kill you." And I was like, how am I going to say this? And then I feel like I don't know how you managed to put together it. I don't think I did it. That was probably the one time I did it straight, where I think you cut away straight after the word is out.
Yeah, come on, get it in.
Yeah. What a nightmare. How do you cope with, I mean, it's fun for the actors when we can't stop laughing, but
actors.
Yeah, how do you cope with naughty actors?
I do. I enjoy the light atmosphere on set, and I think it helps everybody. That sometimes it's good just to laugh, and sometimes it's and so you do it again. So it's
and again.
Yeah. So you cut the scene and then you move on and you go have a whiskey. Oh, I mean, that's very generous of you to say that. I feel like I'd be like, absolutely not. How did you do this scene with him? Are you on the bit where he's breaking his hand?
Yes, he breaks his thumb so that he can slip his handcuff off. And that was painful just thinking about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought Brett was so good in this, and this was another really wonderful fight. It's just very quick and out.
Yeah. Did you just sell it with the sound effect? Because it really feels like watching it that he did it, but clearly like he couldn't have, right?
Yeah. We didn't break his thumb, actually. That was
Alicia's like, that was my hand. I had to break it. Okay.
I think Matt doubled him for this one. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
but he did a lot. He's also an amazing, able to pick up the action very fast too. So
yeah, Brett loved that side of it as well. I feel like he really enjoyed. He's a very precise actor, I always found, and so I feel like with stunts he kind of enjoyed the precision.
Mm-hmm.
The episode is done. Okay, the Zoom filled up very quickly, so I'm going to invite a couple people in to ask some questions. I always feel so lucky that I get to ask all my questions first. Oh my gosh. Right, I'm going to let this person in called Not Jeff Ward. Oh, imagine if it was Jeff.
Oh my gosh, how funny is that?
Is that you?
No, it's not me.
Oh.
I don't think.
Okay, sometimes, let me see. That feels right. Okay, someone should be joining shortly. Are there any questions on there, burning questions?
There's been a lot of them. How did Alicia, how did you go from stunt doubling to then playing Alicia on the show? What was that process like? We've had that question pop up multiple times.
I lucked out. So since my husband's the fight choreographer, he gets the scripts and he gets to read them. And so I mean, not split, but I'm like, can I read? I just want to, so I know, like, as I'm doubling Bobbi, but I'm still like, I like to know what's happening in the scene, you know, just to like know what's going on. It helps even for us stunt people for performing too. Like, but so he read it first and he was like, there's this character named Alicia and she's like a badass. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I wonder who's gonna cast, like who's they gonna cast for that? And because I'm like, oh, maybe I can double her too. You know, I'm thinking like just, and then they called me and they're like, hey, like we think you could do this. And I'm like, what? Like me? And they're like, yeah, like here, audition a few lines. And then I got it. I was just like, oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
And it was named Alicia, so I was like, spelled differently, but I thought that was really cool. I was like,
yeah, meant to be. Was it funny was it kind of difficult to show your face on purpose? I feel like so much.
I kept trying to like hide, you know, like Alicia, we need to see your face, and I'm like, oh right.
Such a great question. Hi, Georgia.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm absolutely fantastic. I'm just a bit tired because I'm in the UK right now and it is about nearly 10 o'clock in the UK right now. Oh my gosh.
Where in the UK are you?
I'm in Essex. Oh. But luckily I've broke up from school now and we've got 2 weeks off school so I could do it tonight.
Oh, perfect. Well, this is so great that you're on here. Do you have a question, Georgia?
Yeah, I got a question for Ron. How long does it take to direct a single episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Great question.
It's 8 days of shooting and 7 days of preparation and 4 days of editing. That's what the standard hour show is, and that was what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was. Isn't that correct?
Yes. I feel like we do one double up day per episode, and then they'd sneak in a few stunt days.
I on this show, I had a ninth day that was just on a deserted road, just a very short scene that was spilled over into a ninth day, but otherwise, most of it was done in the 8 days.
Right. And then
shorter than I expected, really.
Yeah, it moved fast.
It's packed with a lot of things, and that's what's amazing about television. The quality is just unbelievable for the short time really that is used compared to feature films. I mean, it really, you're going for feature level quality in a lot of ways, but on a much shorter schedule.
Yeah.
I love the way they do this in TV programs in like a shorter length than like a 2-hour film. They do like loads of weeks of filming and then they do all the editing and all the special effects and everything. I love that. I have that appreciation for that.
Oh, that's so lovely. Yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, it is kind of crazy that, you know, a 2-hour film takes months sometimes, and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. got it down. That was such a great question. Thank you, Georgia.
You're welcome.
Not Jeff Ward. I feel like we've met you before.
Last week, actually.
You tricked me with your name.
I think about that this morning because I was rewatching the 7th season live with Lil, and Jeff was always there, and he was hilarious. So
He was.
I tried that.
Do you have a question?
Yes, it's for you and Zach. You are engaged for about 2 years now, right?
We've engaged
2
2
years,
years.
yeah.
2 years.
Oh.
Have you picked a date?
We're trying. We're hopeful that we've moved it, a couple times at this point.
And if you have an invite to spare, I'm freeing up my calendar. Just say the date.
I'm like, not Jeff Ward.
Yeah. Listen, if Jeff can't make it, we'll let you know.
If Jeff can't make it, not Jeff is coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, I feel like that's just a great place to end it.
Yeah, exactly.
What better thought of Jeff Ward and not Jeff Ward coming to us?
You might sharing a room with Jeff, though. That would be the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be fine. Yeah. I don't know what you call it.
Head to toe is what we'd say. Yeah.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
I can wear a t-shirt saying not Jeff Ward for the entire day.
That could be worth it. Yeah. I am tempted. We'll let you know. We'll keep you posted.
You've got my vote.
Yeah. You barely have a vote on this wedding, just so you know. Thank you for your questions, guys. We're coming to the end. George has got to get to bed,
Yeah.
Alicia and Ron, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
We're huge fans of both of you and really appreciate you taking the time and you're forging your path still in the industry, and it just is, Sunday afternoons are very precious, so I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much. And the chat thanks you as well. Everyone's been very, very grateful.
Nice.
Thank you, guys. Alicia, we'll see you in the bazillion movies that you're doing and have completed. We'll maybe not know that we see you, but we'll appreciate your work. And Ron, I hope we get to work together again.
Yes, me too. And Zach and Alicia, I hope to be working with you both, all of you.
Yes,
Yay.
me too.
Okay, I'm going to admit the full waiting room, and we'll just wave, and then after a couple minutes I'll end it. Thank you everybody watching and listening. Thank you, Georgia. Thank you, not Jeff Ward. Here comes everybody else. This gets a little bit chaotic.
Oh my God, hi.
Hi.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Alicia.
Hi, Danny.
Thank you, guys.
Oh my gosh, look at that. She's got her hair done.
You're Everyone. Like your hat.
Brad Pitt. Oh my God, Brad Pitt.
Hi.